In this video, we are diving into the devastating effects of narcissistic isolation. All narcissists use isolation to some degree to control and manipulate their partners, with shocking consequences to the partner's mental and emotional health. Yet many people don't realize the anxiety, depression, and emotional numbness they feel aren't because something is wrong with them, but because they're being isolated. Once you understand how narcissistic isolation affects you, you'll finally connect the dots to why you no longer feel like yourself or care about life. Narcissistic isolation isn't like choosing to live alone in a cabin in the woods. It's a forced isolation by a narcissistic partner or family member, created through fear and shame or covert manipulation tactics, with the effects covered in this video. As a bonus, at the end of this video, I'll share actionable steps that worked for me to help me regain most of my old self and help me to start enjoying life again. If you feel like you don't matter, and maybe you are standing on the edge of the abyss looking into the void, I get you. I've been there, and I came dangerously close to taking number 2 on this list of effects to its ultimate conclusion. We are often so focused on pleasing our partners or family that we don't realize how much of our happiness and even life we give to a person who doesn't want to be happy. A person so insecure, they are so afraid of losing control over you that they systematically isolate you from the world. A person who would rather destroy you than suffer the shame of being rejected by you. Following are the effects of their narcissistic manipulation tactics to keep control of you through isolation. To make it easier for you, I've grouped the effects into 4 main effects, each with multiple examples you can compare to your own life and emotional state. Briefly, before we get to the effects, it's important to realize that narcissistic isolation isn't just about locking you in a room or forbidding you from having friends or a job, although some may do that. Narcissistic isolation is about ensuring through manipulation and abusive tactics that the people you interact with and the information you consume reinforce a narcissist narrative and agenda. It's about making sure you don't realize what they're doing to you and have no support if you do. Even if you still see friends and family or go to work, narcissistic isolation happens when they made sure you have no one to turn to who will listen to you, or everyone around you takes a narcissist side, blames you, or dismisses your concerns. I covered the 5 common misconceptions about narcissistic isolation in another video. Check the link in the description if you want to learn more. The first distressing effect of narcissistic isolation is due to the isolation slowly stripping away everything that keeps you grounded in reality. This is because of the gaslighting, blame shifting, outright denial, and devaluing tactics narcissists relentlessly use to break you down in order to isolate you. Without an outside perspective, you only have a narcissist version of reality to rely on. And when something is repeated to us over and over, without anyone contradicting it, we eventually believe it. For instance, without someone to point out that the narcissist chose to get upset when they could have walked away, you may start to believe their anger is your fault. Without someone to listen to your stories, there's no one to point out that slamming doors, throwing or upturning furniture or giving you the silent treatment is a choice the narcissist makes to punish you because they refuse to deal with their emotions or find healthier ways to process being upset. And that getting angry over trivial things like the food not being perfect to their liking, no matter how hard you try, is them choosing to be upset so they have a reason to cause drama. Without this outside input and clarity, you may assume the narcissist outburst was justified, and maybe even that it was your fault. Many partners focus so much on trying to figure out and anticipate what pleases and what upsets their partner that they miss the pattern of inconsistency designed to confuse you and keep you trapped in false hope of a better future, causing you to believe that you are broken and can never do anything right. If you had someone to talk to, they could have pointed out the inconsistent behaviors and irrational reactions of a narcissist. Instead, you begin to doubt your own feelings, believe you are overreacting, being unfair, and to blame for the problems in the relationship. Doubt and confusion fill your mind, and you start questioning yourself, your memory, and your decisions. But it gets worse. With a narcissist constantly denying or shutting down your feelings and emotions, and with no one to talk to about them, your emotions build up like steam in a pressure cooker with a blocked release valve, until eventually something gives. Maybe it comes out in panic attacks, maybe in deep depression, or maybe you just go numb, too exhausted to feel anything anymore. And that's when the real damage sets in. Narcissists often isolate you by making you feel ashamed of yourself so that you do not want to interact with people. With no one to tell you how awesome you really are, you start to feel that you are worthless and do not even deserve to be happy or have friends. That you deserve nothing good in life and are a total failure, no matter how successful you are. When you believe you can do nothing right, learned helplessness sets in, which is when you give up even trying and just accept that there's nothing you can do that will please the narcissist or stop them from getting upset at you again over some trivial matter. Often, you can feel the tension in the air building as you near another rage incident, and you may even provoke them just to get the abuse over with and get a sense of control as you cannot endure the uncertainty and waiting for them to explode again when they feel like it. But if you had someone to talk to, you may have realized how the narcissists planned their rage incidents and how they mostly broke stuff dear to you when they claim they lost control due to you angering them. Learned helplessness drains you, leaving you exhausted, hopeless, and leads to an emotional and mental breakdown where you may not be able to function or just go through each day emotionless. You may go into deep depression, cry a lot, or just feel numb, where if someone were to offer you $1 billion, you would not even know what to do or buy that would make you truly happy. But the damage doesn't stop with emotional breakdown, which takes us to the second and shocking effect of narcissistic isolation. Narcissistic isolation breaks down everything that keeps you emotionally, mentally, and physically strong. It makes you believe that you are trapped in a relationship filled with drama and suffering, destined to live the rest of your life in unhappiness, where your feelings, dreams, needs, and wants do not matter, that you do not matter, with no one to remind you that you do matter, and no one to turn to for help or advice. A profound helplessness sets in, causing you to lose hope for a better future, so you stop fighting, and slowly your will and reason to live fades away. Our brains are wired for emotional connection. We need to feel supported, validated, and that we matter to someone to thrive. We need someone to be kind to us, to touch us lovingly, and make us feel seen and heard, to hug us reassuringly when we are emotional, and to cheer us on when we stumble. But the narcissist not only denies you that themselves, they take away your ability to find it from others as well. Without the loving connection, a deep emptiness rises up in you that no amount of alcohol, drugs, food, or shopping can fill. An emptiness that feels unbearable as it eats away at your mind, happiness, and spirit. You may no longer care about your health, looks, career, or even what happens to you. Or you may feel a profound feeling of failure and being broken, unlovable, and even a burden to society. You go down a spiral of ever-deepening self-destruction and neglect. The person you used to be fades away, replaced by someone who feels utterly worthless and like you have no purpose or meaning. And then your body starts to break down too. The stress of isolation takes a physical toll. Insomnia, headaches, stomach problems, and a weakened immune system. Your anxiety skyrockets, depression deepens, and before you know it, your mind and body simply can't take it anymore. You may even hope each night when you go to bed that you don't wake up again. That's when everything collapses. And you wake up feeling like ending everything feels like a better option than going on. I know, I was there. I have stood on the edge of the abyss where I felt like the world would be better off without me. and it is not an easy place to come back from, especially if you do not have support, causing some victims to take the leap into the abyss. Even if you keep dragging yourself through day after day of emotional and mental struggle, it may feel as if you are only hanging on by your fingertips while you experience the third effect of narcissistic isolation. If your partner gets upset or disappointed in you over everything you do or whenever they feel like it, you start living in a constant state of anxiety and emotional pain. Stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, meant for short-term survival, not long-term exposure, now flood your system on a daily basis, wreaking havoc on your body. Our brains struggle with unanswered questions and inconsistency. Without being able to figure out why your partner got upset this time or how to please them, your mind will be stuck in an ever cycle of uncertainty where nothing makes sense. Your prefrontal cortex will burn through glucose and other neurotransmitters as it tries to make sense of the chaos, leading to mental fatigue where you struggle to think clearly, as well as severely hampering your prefrontal cortex, that is the thinking and logical part of your brain, to manage and rein in the amygdala or emotional part of your brain, leaving you not only mentally exhausted, but at the mercy of your emotional responses to situations. It will be hard to be motivated to do anything, difficult to control your emotions, and hard to say no to junk food and other destructive short-term pleasures. Worse, the constant stress hormones will kill your happiness and lead to poor sleep and serious issues like high blood pressure, heart disease, and autoimmune disorders. With no one to ask for help or someone to talk to, you start stressing yourself to death. Your immune system takes a dive, leading to you getting sick easier and more severely, as well as other issues like constant fatigue, headaches, muscle aches, severe weight changes, and digestive issues. This will not only shorten your lifespan, but drastically affect the quality of your living years. But, sadly, it does not stop here. The last effect of narcissistic isolation you often only realize when you one day look in the mirror and no longer recognize yourself. Many feel intense shame when they see themselves in a mirror, to the point that they can no longer look at themselves in a mirror. To isolate you, narcissists make you ashamed of who you are by constantly breaking you down. Backhanded compliments disguised as jokes, invalidating your successes, mocking your failures, flaws, or insecurities, and name-calling will eventually break anyone down. Male narcissists often mock or insult a woman's looks, while female narcissists often insult a man's ability to provide and his manliness. Slowly they chip away at your personality, identity, and self-worth. The wonderful person you once were, who may have had hobbies, dreams, and a zest for life, is replaced by a shadow of that person, with no one to remind you of who you were, how you used to live, and the dreams you had. You just each day lose more and more of yourself. That's why abusers and narcissists do not want you to hang out with friends who may remind you of who you once were, support you, or tell you that you are amazing. The narcissist may even destroy anything that could threaten their control over you, like old photos of you, awards, or anything that could remind you of how awesome you are. Your dreams, hopes, feelings, needs, and wants no longer matter. Even though you are still alive, the person you once were is already dead. Replaced by a person who never challenges or disobeys the narcissist, so the narcissist's fragile ego is not hurt and their insecurities are not triggered. You may give up everything that once made you, you, like your hobbies, friends, the food you liked, the clothes you used to wear, the job you had, the place you stayed in, even the way you smiled or talked. Yet, it's not enough. Everything that was once you is gone. When you dare to look into a mirror, a stranger looks back at you. You no longer know who you are, what you want out of life, why you are even alive, and you have no idea how to change it. You may feel utterly lost and deeply depressed. while at the same time confused as medication may not help and therapists give up on you. The thing is, you have disconnected from yourself and have to reconnect to the real you now buried deep inside of you. You will never get your old self back exactly as you were, but you can get most of yourself back and emerge as a wiser, happier, and better version of yourself. Here's how you can do it, taken from my own experience. Write about your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. It helps untangle the confusion and reminds you that your feelings are real and valid. Write down the things you love to do and any moments in your past or any actions you took in the past that you are proud of or glad you did. Write down people you helped or made to smile. You are looking for things you can be proud of having done or experienced, no matter how small. You can even write out a detailed avatar so you can say, "This is who I was and still am." Slowly you will start to remember who you once were and the value you brought to others. Be careful not to look at the happiness you once had and fall into the trap of thinking those happy times are lost forever. The past happy times is there to remind you that you once were happy and can be happy again. You can look at old photos to rekindle memories, or you can visit significant places. You can also reach out to people who shared those experiences with you to remind you of your past, as well as remind you of the joy and value you brought to their lives or how you helped them. Even if you've been distant, some people may still care. Start small, send a message, ask how they've been, and see who's willing to reconnect. Next, go out with the purpose of making new friends who value and support you. This could be joining a club, taking a class like dancing, or just starting conversations in safe environments. It's scary at first, but human connection is key to healing. Although you can heal on your own, it's so much faster and more fun with others helping you on. Reach out to therapists and support groups who understand narcissistic abuse. Not everyone understands it, so you may go through a few therapists or groups, but keep looking until you find the right support. If they blame you for the narcissist's actions, tell you to be more supportive and understanding of a narcissist, or dismisses your experiences, just move on. Keep learning about narcissism. Understanding what happened to you helps your brain to relax and breaks a cycle of self-blame. Try to eat balanced meals, drink enough water, and get some form of movement, even if it's just a short walk once a week. Also, make good sleep a priority. Next, be kind and patient to yourself. Healing isn't linear. Some days will be harder than others, but every small step forward matters. Next, minimize contact with a narcissist as much as possible. Now that you know the effects of narcissistic isolation and the steps you can take to reverse the effects, you need to understand that once you start healing, they will notice. Be prepared by watching this video to discover 3 things narcissists do when they can no longer control you. Thank you for watching.